Okay, we've just gotten word in the last hour from the Prime Minister that proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days. Now that Canada's come forward with some additional measures on the border, including a fentanyl czar and listing cartels as terrorists. What's your reaction to this development?
This is positive, albeit only for 30 days. This is a significant change, and it's a positive change, I think, for not just each of us as Canadians, but for all of us in North America, as we have 30 more days to engage on how integrated our North American economy is and how beneficial that integration is to each of us, wherever we live, north or south of the 49th parallel.
So listing cartels as terrorists, 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. And the Prime Minister says he's also signed a new intelligence directive on organized crime and fentanyl, and will be backing this with another $200 million. So this, on top of the border plan, is about $1.5 billion in response to the demands from the President. Do you think that's going to be enough? Because things do keep moving.
Well, I'm sure the conversation is going to evolve as we find our way through time. And as I have said many times, where there's priorities raised by our largest trading partner and President Trump, if they align with the priorities of Canadians and Canadian families, such as the removal of fentanyl from our communities, such as limiting and stopping illegal migrants coming into not only our continent, but the communities where we live, we should act on those. And credit to the Prime Minister, and credit to Dominic LeBlanc, who I know will be central to these conversations for, albeit a 30-day reprieve. It's better than we were an hour ago.
Well, I just wonder, it's a 30-day reprieve. Are we going to go through this in 30 days, do you wonder? I mean, the President signed the order saying it was about fentanyl and migrant trafficking, but he's been talking about banking access, trade deficits, natural resources. It does shift, Premier Moe.
There's going to be many conversations that will happen over the course of the next 30 days. The border security and the removal of the fentanyl, those are areas where we can agree. There will be other priorities in areas where we may not agree with President Trump or with what he might raise. I think what's important as we find our way through this 30 days is this is all heading towards some conversation around USMC and our trading relationship more broadly. Is that myself as a subnational leader and other subnational leaders continue with the very ambitious engagement on with policymakers throughout the U.S., but in particular those that are close to President Trump, on the positives of the integrated North American economy that we have. It is positive for job growth, it's positive for investments, and it's positive for both Americans and Canadians. And we need to engage like we did 4 or 5 years ago when USMCA was signed under this president in his first term and Prime Minister Trudeau's administration.
I wonder, Premier, the conversation on Saturday in the First Minister's meeting, my understanding is the Prime Minister and his officials said to you and your colleagues that they don't really think this is about the border. They do feel this is more about an assault on Canadian sovereignty. I just wonder, how do you view that? Like, what do you think the President's end game is here, at least when it comes to the sovereignty of us as a country? Because he keeps talking about the 51st state and, bringing us in as part of the United States. I mean, those are fighting words, right? I just wonder what you think his end game is here.
Well, currently it seems to be about the border, because if we see another $200 million, a significant investment in addition to the 1.3, in addition to the investments that have been made by numerous provinces, including Saskatchewan, the appointment of a border czar that was called for by myself and Premier Smith in Alberta. Those are all positive things that I think not only the President had called for, but Canadians, I think, will stand behind as well. And I know I certainly do on behalf of Saskatchewan residents. And so this is not a win forever, but 30 days without tariffs is, we should not underestimate the impact and the power of that. And it does provide myself and others more time to engage on what really does matter in the North American relationship, how we create that North American energy, food security, and general security.
You've got a lot of trade-exposed industries, right? Potash would have been hit by this, your energy industry, agriculture, all of it. I mean, your key industrial sectors have to be breathing a big sigh of relief, at least with this 30-day pause.
I think North Americans would breathe a sigh of relief. We're actually the least trade exposed, or one of the least trade exposed provinces to the U.S. We have done made a significant effort and investment, criticized at times, to diversify our trade around the world. That being said, our largest and traditionally our most allied trading partner is the United States of America, and we want that to continue into the future. So I would say this afternoon is a positive step forward, and we're just going to have to try to line up as many of those as we can over the days, months, and years ahead, quite likely.
Premier Scott Moe, we're going to invite you back in 30 days, if not before, because who knows when it'll change there. So Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe, thanks for being here, sir.
Thank you, David.